there's a picture of James Taylor at Newport fairly recently, like last couple of years, underneath a framed picture in his dressing room at Newport of Joni Mitchell at Newport in 1969, the year that James met her. And there's a picture of James like mimicking her pose in that picture underneath it. He made that picture and sent it to Joni for her 75th birthday. And I said, "Did you ever get it?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's over my throne," meaning her crapper.
It is time.
And speaking of Joni Mitchell, you did have her back at the festival last year. How did that happen? How did that come together? Because I
Joni
saw
Mitchell
that
decided
video
to,
and it was amazing. Amazing
yeah,
moment.
it was a truly, it was, you know, when we had Dolly Parton in 2019, I thought I would never. It went viral, but it went viral in a United States sense. And what was amazing about the Dolly Parton moment is it was the only thing trending in America of the top 10 things trending. Twitter, AP, whatever trending. It was the only thing that was positive. Like there was a shooting at a garlic festival. There was like, it was truly like it was the only positive thing that was trending, and it trended for like 4 days. And then Joni and Paul Simon happened last year, and it was in the number one trending thing for a week around the world. So like it's kind of it kind of screwed with us a little bit. But how did it happen? It was Joni Mitchell decided to come back to Newport, where she was discovered. She was discovered at Newport, and she showed up in '67 just as a hang, like literally just hanging out, and met like Leonard Cohen and whatnot, and then came back in '69 and sang, and she met Chris Christopherson, and it was like Chris Christopherson and James Taylor, and they all were hanging out with Judy Collins at Newport in '69, and I met Joni. I was asked by my favorite person perhaps on the planet, which is Mavis Staples, and Mavis had asked me to throw her 80th birthday parties, and one of the ones that we threw was in LA. And another dear friend of mine, the incomparable Brandy Carlisle, it was a benefit concert, and she totally fucked with me. She's like, "Hey, is it cool? Kath," which is her wife, said, "Kath and I are coming, but can we get one more as a guest?" I was like, "Oh, Brandy, look, it's a total pain in the ass. This is like, we're trying to sell all the tickets to raise all this money to give to these causes that Mavis has chosen." She's like, it's cool. You'll like her. She's a Newport alum." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm bringing Joni Mitchell."
You're like,
And I was like,
wow.
Joni Mitchell hadn't left the house at that point,
Right.
like literally had not gone out like since her injury. And I met her there with Mavis Staples, and I started to talk, and she was like, "Oh, you're the Newport guy." And I got a little, peck on the cheek because I got her, thanks to Brandy, told me her favorite white wine. I put a nice cold bucket of, two bottles of it next to her as she was watching Mavis Staples. But I told her, I said, I heard this crazy story from James Taylor about meeting you at Newport. And she all of a sudden, man, like she was pretty beat up, like she had a rough time. But when I mentioned meeting James at Newport, and she told me about this picture that I was there when James had his picture taken at Newport recently, and it was, okay, there's a picture of James Taylor at Newport fairly recently, like last couple of years, like four years ago or something. Picture of James Taylor at Newport underneath a framed picture in his dressing room at Newport of Joni Mitchell at Newport in 1969, the year that James met her. And there's a picture of James like mimicking her pose in that picture underneath it. He made that picture and sent it to Joni for her 75th birthday. And I said, "Did you ever get it?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's over my throne," meaning her crapper, meaning her bathroom. and I was like, she's like, "Yeah, but I love that." And it was and she had these vivid memories from Newport. And I remember, Brandy is just a goddess. She was like, I remember being like, you ever want to come back just to like not to perform, because there was no thought that was ever going
Right.
to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was, it was like she just got out of the house, and it took Mavis Staples turning 80 to get her out of the house in LA. So to get her from LA all the way to Newport, I didn't, it wasn't an empty invitation, but I was like, look, you are welcome. It would be my honor to have you come back, and I'll get you a thing right on the stage, and maybe you can watch Brandy play. And she's like, oh, I'd like that, and blah, blah, blah. A little known, Joni is just so full of just tenacity. We mentioned that word earlier, and vim and big. I'm just like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get back to Newport. And yeah, she had some help from some amazing people, but Brandy deserves a lot of the credit. But the only credit that really, I had nothing to do with it. Honestly, I had nothing to do with it. That's the true thing is I trusted Brandy and Joni. That's what I did. I trusted two extremely powerful women who knew more about, in some respects, more about the gravitas and the thing about what Newport really is as an artist and what it's there for. They both had their kind of younger moments at Newport, both Brandy and Joni, and so they came back, and I just held on for dear life. Quite frankly, I literally just got to witness a front row seat to history, and still, as you can tell, haven't really digested it. It's been a while.
It was amazing to watch that when it came out, and I was just like, it was one of those things that kind of just popped up on YouTube for me. I was just like, what, and I sat there and just watched the whole thing, and it was very emotional.
Yeah, and people's have such goldfish brains for something to go viral for more than an hour or two.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting calls from like Le Monde and these like Dutch TV shows, and I begged off all of it. And then I ran into, it was like in September, I was walking through LaGuardia Airport, and I saw Sheryl Crow, and she walked up to me, and we were talking briefly, and she lowered her badass rock star mirror glasses, and her eyes were all watery because she was like, I'm still watching videos. And I mean, we didn't even talk that it was Joni. I just knew what she meant. She was like, I'm still watching the videos, and this was in September. This was like 6-7 weeks after it happened. Wow. I mean, it was kind of crazy.